You need help, but you're not going to ask for it, not because you're proud, not because you're independent, but because there's a voice inside you that says, before you even get to form the question, I don't want to be a bother. So you handle it alone. You carry it in silence. You cancel plans so you won't inconvenience anyone. You apologize before asking for anything, as if the simple fact of needing were already an imposition. And when someone asks how you are, you say fine, not because you are, but because telling the truth feels like asking for too much. If you recognize yourself in this, that sense of being a burden isn't humility, and it isn't politeness. It's a pattern. It has an origin. It has 4 specific reasons, and this is the important part. It has things you can do about it. Today we're going to look at all 4 and what to do with each one. First, something clear. Feeling like a burden has almost nothing to do with being one. The people who truly are a burden to others, the ones who constantly demand, who drain everyone around them, almost never worry about it. It doesn't cross their mind. And the people who are most afraid of being a bother tend to be exactly the ones who least are, the ones who give more than they ask for, who take care of everyone, who make themselves small so they won't take up space. That's the first paradox. The fear of being a burden doesn't show up in the people who should have it. It shows up in the people who have the least reason to feel it. There are 4 reasons behind this, each with something you can do. But let me tell you one thing up front, and I want you to keep it in mind as we go. Of these 4 reasons, there's one that most people experience as their biggest flaw, and it's actually the opposite. It's a strength disguised as a problem. When we get to it, you'll see it, and it'll probably change the way you see yourself. I'll tell you which one when we get there. The first is early conditioning. Almost nobody develops this pattern as an adult. It almost always comes from much earlier, from a time when you learned, without words, just from how things felt, that your needs came at a cost. Maybe you grew up in a house where the adults were already overwhelmed, and when you asked for help, you noticed you were adding weight to something that already weighed too much. Maybe the response to your needs came with a sigh, with tension, with a sense of one more thing. Nobody had to say it. A child picks it up anyway. And so you did what children do to keep the connection with the people who care for them. You adapted. You learned to need less, to ask for little, to handle things on your own. Because being easy, not causing trouble, became your way of making sure you were still loved. The child grew up. The strategy stayed. What you can do: start separating the past from the present, out loud. The next time you feel that, I don't want to bother anyone, rise up inside you, stop for a second and ask yourself, is this true now, or is it an old rule? Almost always, it's a rule you learned 20 years ago, in a house that no longer exists, with people who aren't the ones in front of you now. You don't have to believe the opposite all at once. You just have to start noticing that this voice doesn't describe today's reality. It describes back then, and those 2 things aren't the same anymore. The second reason is the belief that love is earned. If as a child you learned that you had to earn your place, by being useful, by being good, by not causing trouble, you very likely internalized a specific idea about how love works, that it isn't unconditional, that it has to be deserved, that if you stop contributing, you stop having the right to be there. And from that belief, asking for help becomes terrifying, because asking is the opposite of contributing. Asking is showing that you need, that in this equation, there's a moment where you receive and don't give. And if in your head your worth depends on what you give, receiving feels like being left with nothing to offer, like becoming, precisely, a burden. That's why many of these people give endlessly but can't receive. Giving feels safe. Receiving feels like a debt. What you can do: practice receiving in very small doses, on purpose. The next time someone offers you something, help, a favor, Even a compliment, resist the urge to reject it or immediately pay it back. Just say thank you and stay there, in the discomfort of having received without compensating. It's uncomfortable on purpose. You're training your system to discover something it doesn't believe, that you can receive without anyone sending you a bill and without stopping being loved. Start small. A compliment accepted without deflecting it is already training. And here we reach the third reason, the one I told you about, the one you experience as your biggest flaw, and that's actually a strength: hyper-independence. You do everything yourself. You don't depend on anyone. You never ask. From the outside, it looks like maturity, even something admirable. And here's the twist I want you to see. That capacity of yours to hold yourself up alone, to solve things, to carry whatever's needed without falling apart, is real and it's valuable. It's not a lie. You genuinely are someone strong and capable. The problem isn't the strength. The problem is that you're wearing it as armor 24 hours a day, even when there's no threat at all. You learned that depending is risky, that needing can end in disappointment, and that the safest way not to be a burden is to not need anyone at all. So that real strength turned into a wall that never comes down, not even with the people who are safe. And that's the key. You don't have to become weak or dependent. Your strength isn't the problem. It just has to learn to lower its guard in safe places. What you can do. Pick one person you trust and ask them for something small that you could actually do yourself, on purpose. A tiny favor you don't need, just to practice. This isn't about becoming helpless. It's about proving to yourself that you can lean on someone without collapsing, that letting someone in doesn't take your strength away. It takes away the weight of having to hold everything up alone. Your independence will still be there when you need it. You're just learning to let it rest when you don't. The fourth reason is perception distortion. When you believe you're a burden, your mind starts reading the world through that filter, and it finds evidence everywhere, even when there isn't any. Someone takes a while to reply to your message, and you think, I'm overwhelming them. A friend seems tired when you meet up, and you assume it's my fault, I'm too much. You ask for a favor and notice the slightest hesitation in the other person, and you read it as confirmation of what you already believed. The thing is, this filter isn't neutral. It doesn't register the times people are glad to help you, the times someone wants to be there, the times your presence was exactly what the other person needed. That evidence doesn't fit the belief, so the mind discards it, and you're left only with what confirms the fear. What you can do. Start collecting, on purpose, the evidence your mind throws away. At the end of the day, think of one moment when someone was glad to have you around, sought you out, or thanked you for something you did. Don't make it up. Look for it, because it was there. Your filter just let it slip by. At first, it'll be hard to find them. That itself tells you how biased the filter was. Over the weeks, your mind starts collecting that evidence too, and the belief loses its monopoly. You're not lying to yourself. You're just stopping lying to yourself in the direction of fear. Here's what I want you to take from this. Feeling like a burden doesn't mean you are one. It means that at some point you learned your needs were too much, and that lesson, which maybe made sense back then, stayed recorded long after it stopped being true. Early conditioning that taught you to need less, a belief that love is earned by giving, a real strength that turned into permanent armor, and a filter that only lets you see what confirms the fear. None of this is a character flaw. They're adaptations, ways a child learned to stay safe and loved that kept running in an adult who no longer needs them. And because they're learned, they can be unlearned, separating the old rule from the present, practicing receiving, lowering your guard in safe places, and collecting the evidence your fear discards. That's not stopping being a burden. That's finally letting yourself be loved. Tell me in the comments which of the 4 reasons hit closest and which habit you're going to try. And hold on to this, because it leads straight to the video you should watch next. There's a very specific kind of person in whom this pattern becomes an entire way of life. The person who takes care of everyone, who holds up their family, their friends, their work, and who, in that list of people they take care of, never appears themselves. If you feel like a burden, often the answer has been exactly that, becoming the one who gives and never asks, the one who cares and is never cared for. The video next to this one is about those people, about why they do it, and about how to start putting themselves back on their own list. See you there. One last thing, and it matters. These habits can help loosen the sense of being a burden in everyday life. But if that weight is very heavy, if it comes with a sense of being worthless, or that others would be better off without you, that's not something you should carry in silence or handle alone. Talking to a mental health professional doesn't mean something is broken in you. It means you're treating yourself with the care you'd give to anyone you love. You deserve that care, especially from yourself.